It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. This is a Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number... Is this it? Is this it? It's episode 100! Episode 100! Woo!
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host of the 100th episode of the Smart Passive Income Podcast, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI.
Congratulations, Pat.
Wow, I mean, episode 100, it's just unbelievable. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe we're recording 100 episodes in right now because, I mean, I remember when I first started this podcast. I mean, the first one went live in July of 2010, and I recorded that first episode like 3 times because I just wasn't happy with it. I wasn't confident. And you could tell, I mean, if you go back and listen to those first episodes, my voice is completely different. My demeanor, my confidence, it is all changed, you know, these past 3 and some odd years. And I'm just so blessed to have you, the listener, because without you, I mean, I wouldn't have had the motivation. I wouldn't have had the energy to just do this week in and week out. And it's one of my favorite parts of the week is putting this thing together for you and hearing the feedback. And so, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I mean, 7 and some odd million downloads later. I mean, I'm just so blessed to be able to do this and you know, have it become a part of what I do for a living. I mean, thank you. Thank you so much. And to celebrate today's 100th episode of the Smart Passive Income Podcast, and thank you for those of you who came over from iTunes who have, you know, never met me before. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be featured on the front page of iTunes as this goes live or when this goes live. Amazing. Again, just incredible blessings. And for those of you who are meeting me for the first time, you know, I don't get all crazy all the time or sentimental, although some of my existing audience might argue otherwise. But this particular episode, I wanted to, you know, reminisce a little bit and go back to the beginning and when it all started, this whole online business thing started. And I have a couple of special guests on the show with us today. 2 people who I probably should have had on the show a long time ago, somewhere right in the beginning, but for whatever reason, they weren't on the show. But I think it's perfect and fitting that they are here in episode 100. And this is none other than Jeremy Franson and Jason Van Orden from InternetBusinessMastery.com, 2 people who changed my life when I discovered their podcast, Internet Business Mastery, back in the mid 2000s when I had gotten laid off, and their inspiration, their motivation, and their direct advice and mentorship to me has helped change my life, which has helped change a lot of other people's lives. So I think it's perfectly fitting to have Jeremy and Jason here on the show. And we go way back, and we talk about a lot of things from, you know, the fears and just what I learned and how I got started and commonalities behind people who succeed and people who don't. And also I get deep into, you know, I for those of you who have followed my site for a long time, you know, they have a program called the Internet Business Mastery Academy. And that was something I was a part of and something that was vital to me when I first started. And I promoted that thing when I first started online, and I made a good commission from, you know, recommending their product because I trusted it and I knew they would take care of people. And then sort of, you know, a few years later, I stopped recommending them. And there's a specific reason why I did that. And, you know, I do recommend them now, but we talk about that in the middle of this podcast, and we get really deep into the psychology of what happened there and what you should look out for. So a lot of interesting things that happen. I just am so glad to have them on the show. 2 people who I'm so blessed to have in my life and who have affected my life, my family's life, and, you know, through me, the lives of several others as well. I mean, just here's Jeremy and Jason and I in a really just personal conversation about just everything that has happened. So here's Jeremy and Jason from InternetBusinessMastery.com. Enjoy. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the 100th episode, and I don't think I would rather have anybody else on the show than these 2 amazing people who have had such a huge influence on my life and my business. We have Jason Van Orden and Jeremy Franson from Internet Business Mastery. What's up, fellas? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Pat. Congrats on 100. That's exciting.
This
That's
is
really cool.
This is I remember when you guys reached episode 100 and how big of a deal that was to me as a listener. But now I'm actually the host of a show.
You're there.
And reaching 100, I mean, this is just amazing. So I just wanted to have you guys on just because you guys have influenced me so much. And, I would, there's nobody else I would rather celebrate this live on the air than with you guys. So just first of all, before anything, just, from the bottom of my heart, from my entire family, just thank you so much for all that you guys have done for me and are doing for everybody. I mean, not just myself, but for everybody out there. I mean, I can't count the number of people who have said that you guys were the major influence on their new direction in life. So just thank you so much for that.
We really appreciate that. This is amazing to be on your show and on 100. I mean, that's so crazy. I mean, I keep thinking back, in San Diego when we were hanging out. I mean, this is just amazing to see all the progression and just glad to be a part of it.
So what's it been like for you guys? I mean, you guys obviously know that you guys sort of helped get me started. I mean, seeing my growth, what has it been like for you guys?
Fulfilling to say the least.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, the coolest part about this internet business thing is when, we've been at it long enough that, we have students who have incredible success and now they are impacting the lives of many, many people. And, it's sometimes it feels like such a selfish thing. Oh, I'm starting a business because I want to make money and have freedom. But, now that we're almost a decade into this, to think about the reverberant nature of entrepreneurialism and creating value for people and the people that you impact then go on to impact other people, it's pretty amazing to just kind of see that, to have enough history behind us to see that truly taking shape and form, and it's amazingly fulfilling. It's wonderful to think back to when we started and everything that's going on now.
Yeah, and it's also one of those funny things where, like at New Media Expo, when I go and I'm talking to other people that are doing incredibly well and even speaking there, and I'm like, "Oh, how did you get started?" And they're like, "Oh, I met Pat." And it's one of those things, again, that's that weird thing where you never know where your influence and, who you become a part of. And, you get to go on these journey with so many different people. And it's just like Jason was saying, the influence is an amazing thing. I mean, we've been doing this for 8 years now. So, if we didn't have a little bit of reach, that would be pretty crazy. But it's incredibly fun and exciting to watch what you're doing and who you influence. And yeah, it's been crazy. Like I'll even be looking at the New York Times or whatever it was. Let's see what it was, a Wall Street Journal, I think. And there you are. I'm like, yeah, there's Pat. How funny. And I think of lunch, 5 or whatever years ago when we were just sitting here talking about internet business, and boom, all of a sudden now I'm seeing you in different places and magazines and stuff. It's pretty awesome.
I mean, I have so many memories of both of you guys, all the way back to when I first discovered you on iTunes, and I would just sit there and listen and just get inspired. And even this was back when I still had my job, and I was like, oh, that sounds so cool, but, I have my life, I'm doing my thing as an architect, and I'm just, it sounds cool, but it's entertaining. And then all of a sudden I get laid off, and I'm like, wow, now is the time to put this stuff into action. And I remember listening to you guys on the train, actually, just that transformation that happened in my life from listening to you and your guys' voice was so huge for me. And then I joined the Academy, of course, and I actually connected with a lot of you. And Jeremy, it was when we met at Panera Bread in San Diego here at that mastermind group that really changed everything. I mean, I had my blog, I was getting traffic, but that's where I got direct advice from you and Rob and other people who were there who were just like, Pat, like, this is the opportunity you have. This is what you have to do. Go write an ebook. And that's what I did. And it all started from there. And then you guys had me on your show and started talking about, what I did to get started. And it's just been such a crazy, crazy journey. And again, I can't thank you guys enough because you guys literally changed my life. And, now I'm here in San Diego. I just bought a new home. I'm able to stay at home with my kids and watch them grow up. And like you said, influence people who we might not even know who we're influencing from the way we're producing content online. And of course, the influence to start a podcast. Like I remember, gosh, it was December of 2008. And I had written a blog post. I had just started Smart Passive Income, and I had written a blog post saying, guys, it was a podcast that influenced me to get started in online business. It changed my life. I want to start a podcast too. And that was December of 2008. Well, my very first episode came out in July 2010. like a year and a half later. It was because, it wasn't as easy as setting up a blog to start a podcast, and I wasn't comfortable with my voice and those sorts of things. And then that is when I reached out to you, Jason, and you directly helped me. You and Cliff Ravenscraft were like, okay, Pat, like, if you really want to do this, this is how you do it. And you sort of walked me through that process and gave me all the sort of technical know-how to get that going. So, for everybody listening out there right now, obviously you have both of these guys to thank to help me get started online and then share my wisdom with you guys as much as I can. But it was Jason who directly influenced the start of this podcast. And now we just passed 7 million downloads last week, actually.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, this brings to my mind something that we like to say a lot when we speak live or even to our students. And that is, who is waiting out there to hear from you? Who is waiting to be influenced by you, to impact you, to send you that email or to have you on their show, on their 100th show, saying, look at what you did for me. And, when we were facing that idea, when I first discovered the word podcasting in a newsletter and I searched for it online and Google didn't even know what it was like, do you mean, and it put some phishing term.
That was like
some
2004 or something.
Yeah, it was really, really, really early 2005. And here's the funny thing. It's like the same thing with us. It was months later that finally it was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to start teaching people how to podcast. But I was afraid for a good 7-8 months. I'm like, I'm not going to sound like NPR. What if people don't take me seriously or whatever, right? And at the same time, like, imagine had I decided, I'm not going to teach podcasting. Then imagine had we not decided, we're not going to start Internet Business Mastery. Why should anybody listen to what we have to say? Imagine if you, Pat, had decided, I'm not going to start Smart Passive Income. It just feels like I have nothing additional to say. Well, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the impact, not only in our own lives, but now the 7 million, downloads and listens and the impact that those have now had too. So it's daunting, that moment when you're getting started, but man, your voice and your story have power to change lives. And, thankfully at each of those moments where we had the crossroads, we made the decision, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to share our voice and we're going to let it go out there and reach those people. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just recalling moments that we've had in these specific interactions that I know has been a pivotal moment of my life, and those were a couple there. That meet up at Panera with Jeremy, that discussion with Jason about podcasting, and there was another discussion I had with Jeremy. Actually, I don't know if you remember this, Jeremy, but it was maybe 4 years ago, and I had emailed you with 10 different business ideas. Like Smart Passive Income got started, and I wasn't seeing very much traffic, and I was like, Jeremy, what do you think of these ideas? I want to do all of this, but which one do you think I should do first? And your reply was just golden, and I'll tell everyone what it was. I don't remember what it was word for word, but you had said something to the likes of, Pat, these are interesting, good ideas, but I don't see you in any of them. And they were ideas like, I want to create a review site for all the hosting companies out there, or things like that. But when
Smart Passive Income wasn't on the list, you were just doing that on the side, right?
Yeah, and then you said, Pat, people love you. You need to put more of you in what you're doing right now, because think about Green Exam Academy. People love it because they know it's Pat Flynn who is teaching them how to pass this exam. And when they send you emails, they're saying, hey, Pat, thanks for this, or hey, Pat, thanks for that. And that's something that I really hadn't thought of in regards to Smart Passive Income. And it was at that moment when you replied, I think we even talked on Skype, that's when I made the decision to, okay, Pat Flynn is going to be Smart Passive Income. And that's when you started seeing more of my personality come out, and a little bit more about my family and the hobbies I was doing. And then that's before I started the podcast, and that's actually a direct influence on why the intro is the way it is. Hey, I'm going to say a different fun fact about me every time, just to connect with people and to show more of myself. And that has made a huge difference, because I go to conferences now, and people come up to me and they're like, Pat, I feel like I know you. And they talk to me as if we've been friends already, and I don't even know their name yet. And that was because of you, Jeremy, when you had responded, Pat, people respond to you. And I think that's a big lesson for everybody is nobody is like you. For each and every one of you listening, nobody is like you. And that is an advantage that you have over everybody else. So how are you going to implement you in your business?
I'd like to speak to that.
One other thing that
go ahead, Jeremy.
Let me just jump in. One other thing I wanted to mention is when you came that first time to just the little meetup that we had, I guess it was just an Academy forum meetup or whatever. It's so funny because people now know you as Pat Flynn with quotes, right? You're this whatever, you know what I mean? Like you're like the superstar or whatever. But like when we met, it's so funny because there are very specific things you did that other people don't do, for sure. And I'll get to that. But at first, there's no way, even at that time, I'd been teaching students for quite a while. There's no way for us to just look and go, oh, that guy's somehow different, right? You weren't wearing the really snazzy clothes yet. You know, we were in San Diego. We had flip-flops and shorts. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We just all looked the same. There was no look. But I'll tell you, you know, and again, you weren't Pat Flynn yet. So it's one of those things where I couldn't tell who's going to be what. What did change was, of course, you had the desire in the same way as everybody else that I've met has the desire, they wouldn't be listening to us, right? Whether it's listening to us or you or both of us, you know, it's that desire to have that freedom. But the thing that you always did that we talk about with our students and on our show is when I would say, oh, you know, I think maybe try this, you would do it and then 3 other things. Like you took this massive action that is what made that happen. And any of between us, any of our successful students, that's literally they took the desire and as simple. It doesn't seem as massive as it is, but it really is because most people that start doing this internet business stuff, they don't finish. And you took that massive action. Like it would always blow me away when we would meet up and I'd go, oh, so what are you up to? And you're like, oh, I did this, 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 and this. And I'm like, oh my God, you did all of it and then found 3 more things to do. That's crazy. And it was then when I was like going, oh my gosh, like I can't predict, you know, even after all these years, I have no idea who's going to make it and who isn't, just right off. But the fact that you were willing to take that action and were so excited to do it, and you know, if I happened to say something, you would totally do it. That was the thing. So, I mean, we talk about that all the time. Find somebody you trust that's ahead of you and actually do what they say. I mean, that's being like Pat Flynn for sure. And I did air quotes there if you couldn't see. Pat Flynn.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I mean, that is obviously something that we all need to do. We all need to take action, and the more action you take, the more opportunity you give yourself to do these things. And I think another thing that went along with that, and you know, is you and I would meet sort of consistently and or talk. Or I would reach out to you and everybody else in the forums quite often, and that was something. When I started doing that, I started realizing the power of just asking for help because I didn't know how to write an ebook. So I asked you guys, well, how do you get started with that? Or what tools do you use to sell this? And that's where I discovered eJunkie from. It wasn't from you guys I discovered that. It was from somebody else in the forum. So, you know, the power of just connecting with other people was huge. And also another part of that success story was just not wanting to take action and taking action. But when I didn't know what to do, just simply ask for help. I mean, there's no shorter, more direct path to getting the right answer than just asking someone who knows that answer.
Yeah, nobody can do this alone. That's for sure. And, you know, that's a message we've been talking about a lot lately. Cause I think back on my 10-year journey here as an entrepreneur and, you know, it's partnerships, masterminds, mentors, you know, friends, people who are in there doing it or who have done it that have been a critical part. You know, it's so easy to have that rugged independence of, oh, I can do it. You know, I know you're a musician as well, Pat. And I don't know if you ever had this, like early on in my songwriting band days, I had this weird idea that it's like, oh, well, the real artists are the ones who do it all. They write their lyrics and they write the music and they go into the studio and they know the exact right settings on the compressor and the limiter and the perfect mic to stick in front of their guitar. And, and they do the marketing for their CDs. And they're like this rock, this island, this Renaissance person that does it all. And man, it didn't take long to humble me and go, man, if you really want to make it as a musician, you need to hire a producer. You need to collaborate with your bandmates when writing music. You need to find somebody else to help promote your shows who knows how to do that better than you do. And thankfully, that's a lesson I learned back then. This is in that book I haven't written yet called Everything I Learned About That I Need to Know in Business. I learned as a musician in a band. Cool. But that was a lesson I learned early on. And so coming into business, I knew it's like, I can't be that island. I got to ask for help. I got to find partners, mastermind mentors. I got to reach out and build, this team of people around me to get me there.
And speaking of partnerships, I mean, I want to go back into time, even before I got started with online business, to how you guys got partnered up with each other. Because you mentioned you can't do this alone, and you guys are lucky that you had each other right from the start. How did you guys can one of you tell the story of how you guys sort of got connected with each other and then got the idea to start your podcast? Because that's what you started with, was the podcast, and then we can just sort of take it from there.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, here's what happened for me. So this is Jeremy, and I had quit my job, and I'd read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all it said was start a business or do real estate. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll do real estate because I know nothing about business. And because of the real estate stuff, I realized really quickly, first of all, I hated the real estate stuff, didn't enjoy it at all. But while I started learning about kind of this online business world way back then, I was still going to little meetings in Salt Lake City. That's where I was. I moved back to Salt Lake to cut all my costs to live as cheap as I could while I tried to do this business thing. And while I was there, I would go to a real estate meetup, really is what it was. There wasn't meetup.com back then, but I would go to this real estate group. And one time I went there, this, maybe 12-year-old looking kid goes up to the front of the room, and everybody in the room, I thought I was young. I was like 30 or 32 or something at the time. Everybody else was in their 50s. And this young guy gets up and he's like in charge. He's the president of the real estate group. But and that was interesting enough to me. But what really got me, and that ended up being Jason. He just happens to look incredibly young for his age.
12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. he maybe looked like 19 or something. And I guess, what were you, maybe 27 or something like that? At the time,
yeah, I was probably 27, yeah.
And so, but here's the thing that really struck me about Jason is I was just learning about information products, like being able to make CDs, and like you film yourself teaching something and then you sell CDs in a manual or something like that. So this is even before all the digital stuff we do now. And Jason said he was selling a course on him teaching how to do some little thing with real estate. And I instantly emailed him back and said, hey, we should do lunch. I'm learning about this, and I don't know anybody in the whole world that I have access to that knows anything about this stuff. I would love to, take you out to lunch and let's talk. Like, how did you do this? And so that kind of started what became a mastermind group between us for, I don't know, maybe a year, would you say, Jason?
Yeah, it was probably a year or two. And then, before the podcast started happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one day Jason just said, hey, have you heard about this podcasting thing? And I'm like, no, what's that? And basically he's like, oh, you get to kind of have your own radio show. And I guess something in me, I was like, oh my gosh, we should totally do this. And he was pitching, he said, I want to be the podcast expert. So I'm going to start some different shows. And then I was like, oh, let's start a show. Let's do something. I don't know what. And then it led to the hobby of internet business mastery for, I don't know, maybe 18 months or something. We did it for fun, really just basically having the conversations we would have when we would go to lunch. Like he would go learn certain things and I'd go learn certain things, and then we'd get together and tell each other. That's basically what it was. And he was doing it to learn about podcasting. So it was completely a hobby until people started telling us, hey, where's your course? We'd buy it. And so that's kind of how it all started. Did I miss anything, Jason?
No, I think that hits the key points. I mean, I had mentioned that I had, Googled the word podcasting. Google didn't know what it was. And at the time when I looked around, there was just a few underground geek bloggers, blogging about MP3 enclosures, RSS feeds, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, thankfully I had the tech background to understand them. And I just like, oh my gosh, this is huge. Like this is going to change communications online, teaching online, marketing online, building a brand online. The face of content marketing is shifting here. And so that was an opportunity. Now I'm making it sound like I was very definite in that moment. Like I'm going to be, like I said, it took me 7 or 8 months to finally come around and claim that, no, dang it, I am going to be like the foremost expert on how to podcast, particularly for business. But I figured, well, if I'm going to do that, I better have 2 or 3 podcasts. And one of the 3 that I started at the time was Internet Business Mastery, which then completely unexpectedly, we're talking within 4 or 5 months, our host is saying, we're going to shut you down. You're getting too many downloads. And thankfully by then Libsyn had been created and we're like, okay, let's move over there so that we can And, then all of a sudden, next we knew, within 2 years, like we realized we got about 18 months, we have a business on our hands. But it all just started out like for fun. Let's learn this thing. Let's create some value. Let's just see what happens. And then it became the primary focus for both of us, just because it was growing so rapidly.
That's cool. It sounds like you had a lot of different things going on, and you just found the one that sort of seemed to take off. I mean, I know, Jason, you had, a podcasting sort of business for a while. You wrote a book too.
Yeah, I had a book about promoting your podcast for 2 or 3 years. The early days of New Media Expo, which was Blog World at that time, and before that there was Portable Media Expo. I was speaking at that, and so I was headed to I just want to teach people how to podcast, which I loved doing. But again, because Internet Business Mastery grew so much faster, after 2 or 3 years, I was trying to do both, and at one point, another lesson we teach our students all the time is sometimes you got to know when to focus. And so we realized, okay, even though we've got other successful businesses, let's put whatever we can on autopilot. Let's get whatever we can off of our plates, and let's really give Internet Business Mastery its due attention in order to grow and have the impact that it could. And, I'm glad that we did that, because then like Jeremy said, we finally, or maybe I'm mixing up. That was an interview we did with Chris Ducker this morning. We were talking about how then also we had 2 or 3 years where our business was doubling every year because of us giving it the focus that it deserved at its time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I do want to talk about the Academy and how that came about and sort of the ups and downs with that. But before that, I want to talk about or continue this conversation about your partnership, because I know there's a lot of people out there listening who may have a partner already, or maybe they're considering starting a business with somebody else. You guys have been together for years now. What has kept you both sane with each other? And, why do you guys work well together?
I think that one of the things is that we have similar purposes, and we call it on our show single motivating purpose. Basically, we're so similar in those, but just enough different that it supports each other, but, we're not both doing the exact same thing. And I think that, that was one of those things that, helps us. We have this mission that we have to, do what we do. We absolutely love it. And we both love it. And we both, just work really, really well together. He has a certain aspect of the business that, Jason is definitely the professor. He's the teacher. He's got the knowledge. He blows me away. I'll tell him about some little thing I just learned, and the next day he finds everything about it and can teach it. It always blows me away, even after 8 years. It's just how it works. And, we just have different aspects of the business that we bring together. And I don't know, it's funny because our partnership has lasted longer than my marriage did. We just joked about that. So yeah, we've been together like 8 years or something like that now, working on the business. And from my side, I think it's our mission and our purposes are aligned.
A partnership is a lot like a marriage, and you have to treat it as such. We have a phone call every Monday where we're touching base, not only on strategy, but talking about what's stressing us out. What are we happy about? Are there any things we need to hash out? Any disagreements going on? And, any good marriage has regular communication things as well. And again, having been in enough bands where I just threw musicians together, and 6 months into it, we're like imploding because, half of us just want to play frat house gigs and make, $500 a pop, when the other half of us want to write the next White Album by the Beatles or something. It's like you got to go into it knowing what each other wants out of the situation. Common purpose, common mission, common expectations, and very clear understanding about what each person is bringing to the table. And, sometimes that needs to be reevaluated, and so that might mean a partnership only. I don't think there's anything wrong. Let's say if a partnership only lasts 2 years, maybe that's the life that it had in it, and that's fine. For whatever reason, we've been fortunate enough now to have an 8+ year partnership in this business, but it does bring many advantages to have a partner, as long as you can find the right partner to mesh with. And it just kind of happened for us. I guess we had 2 years of masterminding together to really have it make sense of maybe we should do something together here. That definitely helps when you have a bit of a friendship or a background or at least a bit of an understanding of who somebody is. So, that's, you gotta treat your partnership like you would any other significant and key relationship in your life as well.
Mm-hmm. I think one other thing I would mention too is just, there's also this thing about lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you want? And we just happen to have a similar view on that. We've never done a show together in the same room. We have always lived, when we've had the business, in different cities and even countries. Like when I was in San Diego, I think Jason was in Buenos Aires, and then he's in Portland, and I was in Salt Lake, and then he was in Manhattan, and now he's going to France, and being able to understand, like, we don't want to get together in one particular place and build, let's say, a 50-person business. We want a lifestyle business. Like, if one of us wanted to do that, that would be bad news. Right? We have very similar lifestyles as well. And that's something, if I was starting over, I would definitely find out about as well, because that would, 5 years down the line, one person's like, hey, I want a, $100 million business with 500 employees. That's what I'm going for. And I'm like, oh, I like working at home. You know what I mean? That would be a major issue later. So lifestyle is another one, as well as the purpose and mission.
Yeah, I mean, and the underlying factor between all of that, I mean, that's all important, but communication is just, having a partner come on is huge, and you want to make sure you understand everything there is to know about that person you're going to be working with, and make sure that you guys are honest with each other too, because, I mean, just like in a relationship, I mean, honesty is really, once you start not revealing everything or not talking, that's when things could start to happen, and you don't want to go down that road. So
yeah, and gifts. He sends me the most wonderful gifts. No,
jewelry and
jewelry. I better have my tennis bracelet every year.
Oh gosh. So now I want to talk about your business and the academy especially, and you guys have had one of the longest running successful membership sites that I know about. And I'd like to talk about, what's been working really well, maybe some of the things that hadn't gone so well in the past, and sort of how you reevaluated those situations and came back from them. You guys just released Academy 3.0. So this is like your sort of third iteration. And from the audience that I have that I know is in it, I mean, I've just been hearing amazing things about it. Talk about really quick the start of the academy. Obviously, this idea came from your audience. Hey, where's the course? And then you created this academy. What was the idea behind the academy? And sort of give us a quick, journey on the ups and downs of it.
Well, I'll give you the beginner thing, and I'll let Jason tell you about what it is now. But the beginner thing was actually, we didn't think really people would buy. I remember going, people are asking us this. Let's do the craziest thing. We didn't actually start the academy as a membership site. We went, let's do a $2,000 coaching course. And then everybody will go, oh my gosh, I'm never going to buy that. And then we'll see that this is still just for fun. Mm-hmm. And so we started a $2,000 coaching course, and it sold out in about 5 minutes, blew us away. And instead of being excited, I was all mad, because I was like, why didn't we have more openings? We shouldn't have put a limit on it, because we sold out in 5 minutes. We had no idea that was going to happen. And it was, I don't know, what was maybe about a year and a half later, that I was in a mastermind group with, one of the big internet business guys, and he had a whole bunch of membership sites on all different topics. And as he was talking about it, I was sitting there going, oh my gosh. And of course, their money was insane. He was like, oh, if a membership site I have doesn't make at least $100,000 a month, I sell it. And we're like, in my mind, I'm going, what? I can't even believe membership sites can do that kind of money. That's insane. And so when he kind of looked at what we were doing, because it was a mastermind group, so we would all share, he was like, oh, you should turn that coaching course into a membership site. Then you could make money every single month and not have to sit there and launch a coaching course every year or whatever. And that was kind of the thing that I took that to Jason, and we mulled that over for a while. And, not long after that, I think we started with the Academy 1.0, which was basically taking our coaching course and then just making it into, what that same guy, his name's Ryan, later called the Encyclopedia of Internet Business. We made that into Academy 1.0 not long after.
Yeah, which of course I'm familiar with because I was in it. And it was great. It was like, different lessons and modules and action items and things I could download and print out and check off. And it was great. It was really helpful to have that guidance, even though you guys weren't there coaching me sort of hand in hand, because you had this system in place where I could learn in a very step-by-step fashion. It really did help me out.
Yeah, the initial thing with the Academy was to have that ideal resource, like what we wish we'd had when we got started. Now, the funny thing is we think about when we got started, of course, things were very different. There was no Facebook, no Twitter, no WordPress, no, a lot of this stuff that we have at our fingertips now to build a brand. But the people that we learned from back then, they're all gone now. None of them are teaching internet business anymore. Now, some of that's because they've moved on to bigger ventures. Maybe they got bored, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons why somebody teaches internet business for a while and then moves on to other things. Kind of going back to that sense of this mission that we have, now we've been teaching internet business and entrepreneurship and marketing for almost 10 years. And so in that time, the third iteration of the Academy and really the fourth iteration of our curriculum, because before the Academy was, coaching students that we took through a particular system. We've learned a lot about what keeps people motivated, about what they need in order to, what sets apart the people who make it and reach the success they were looking for, and the ones that just give up and stop. I don't want to say fail, because I think the only way really to fail is if you just stop trying. And so, you look at the difference between this third version of the Academy and the first, there's a huge difference in the way we track the progress of our students. We know people have such limited time. So we've learned you can't overwhelm them. It has to be step by step. It has to be the kind of thing that people can sit down for 30 minutes, instantly know where they left off, instantly know what they need to do next. Cause that's the life that people are living here, trying to get an internet business going while working a full-time job that's 10 to 12 hours a day sometimes, with a family that wants to see them as well, So, empathizing with those needs of our students right now and creating a system that precisely meets those needs in the form of the training that they get, the format that we deliver it to, and in the time and energy that they have to dedicate it to. So we're incredibly proud to still be doing this 10 years later, to have, you're not going to find an internet business program anywhere on the internet that's on its fourth version like this for beginners. It just doesn't exist, because anybody else has stopped, again, for whatever reason, stopped teaching it. And so it's incredibly gratifying to see the responses to this latest version of the Academy, and to see that we've managed to crack the code of some of these things that really hold people back, and frustrate us as coaches and teachers. It's like, man, how can we help with that one pitfall that just seems to keep grabbing people and taking their motivation away, and seeing that actually be solved. It's a wonderful thing to see happen. We just continue to improve and continue to see what it is that people need, and try to change the way that entrepreneurs are created online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And so it's very obvious you're doing this for the right reasons. You're trying to make sure that people are able to do this, and you're actually listening and following along and seeing what's working and what's not, and improving the system over time. And a lot of people don't do that. Now, I will say, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, when I first started Smart Passive Income, you guys know, I was the top affiliate for your product for a long time, for the Academy. And then you may have noticed that I stopped promoting it. And the reason I did that was because it seemed like for a little while you guys changed your purpose, and it seemed like your focus was for a little bit on something other than your users. Can you talk about that really quick? And I'm just being, I'm just being completely honest with you. But we can talk about what's come out of that as a result. But talking about
for sure
your change of motivation, and some of the things you guys were doing. And I know you were working with certain people that were sort of maybe people you shouldn't have worked with, and things like that. I think this is important, not just because, you guys are on the show and you're sharing your experience, but I think this is something that happens to a lot of people. And I've noticed it with a lot of my own friends who have become successful. They're not the same people anymore, and they haven't come back.
Right.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think there's two traps that you fall into as an entrepreneur that we fell into. One I would call the resting on your laurels trap, and the second one I would call the comparison trap. The first one is where you reach a certain level of success in your business and you start feeling like, Well, I mean, you've worked hard, you've sacrificed, you've taken chances, and you've got something and you've finally gotten it working. And to some degree, you're like, I just want to enjoy this now. And by all means, you deserve to enjoy your business. I think one thing we did though is we maybe just, we stopped trying as hard or innovating. I mean, we were on the top of the freaking game. I mean, at the time, there was still, even by the time you started Smart Passive Income, it was a handful of shows in the business marketing category, let alone the internet business category. Whereas today, there's no way you can even possibly listen to them all. There's so many of them. So it was very easy for us to just kind of ride the wave that we had created and let it be what it was, which might have been okay for
number
a while.
one for years.
Right.
So you start getting used to, I guess we're just number one again this year.
Right.
It's a weird thing after years of it.
And so you just keep enjoying it. Yeah. And we were like, okay. But what we needed to do was, after a few months of enjoying that, okay, well, we got to innovate. What's the next thing? And not just kind of let the thing just ride as it is. And two things happen because of resting on our laurels. Number one, you stop creating value like you should. And number two, the competition starts showing up and catching up with you, right? And even passing you up. So that's couple things that happen there. And then the comparison trap is where you reach a certain level, you feel like, okay, I've mastered, such and such level of my business. And I'm seeing people who seem to be operating at this next level up. And I would really like to get to that next level up, for more bigger impact reasons, for making more money reasons, for whatever reasons. I want to get to that next level up. And so you start looking around for, well, what is it that I need to do differently in the way I do business and the way I think and the way that I operate in order to reach that next level? And we thought we had identified that. And that it was going to take us, and we just felt like, well, the only way to reach that next level, I guess, is to do business like we see these other guys doing. And so we started paying people a lot of money to coach us in those things. Now, it turns out that the problem was we weren't realizing that there's a lot of different ways to reach the next level. And going back to like being true to yourself and be you. And, it started straying from what was true to us. And I don't know, maybe part of us had that dissonance and thought, well, this is what it's going to take. And in order for us to reach more people and go to the next level, that's just, we're just needing to quote unquote grow up as marketers or something. Right. And it took us a couple years to realize like that was A, not fulfilling for us, B, losing the magic of what we had, used to create the brand that we had. And C, losing the support of some people that had believed us in us and the way we were in the beginning. And finally something woke us up and said, wait a second, like we don't need to compare ourselves to these other guys just because these other guys seem to be making money or reaching the amount of people or doing these big shot things, associating, you see the pictures of them with Richard Branson, doing all the things. You're like, that would be cool to do those things. Doesn't mean that you have to do business just like them. You got to find the coach and stay with the coach and find the path to the next level that's more true to who you are. And, the hardest part is to realize that you've made those missteps and then to admit it to yourself and then to admit it to the people that, are trusting in you. And then you just got to make those course corrections. And I wish we had realized that earlier, and not, I won't say wasted 2 years, but, there's a couple years that we were not as efficient or not as impactful and not as fulfilled as we could have been with our business. And I'm sure many entrepreneurs hit that just because, you reach a certain level, you start comparing yourself, you start going, oh, well, I need this is what, all those things I just said. I don't need to repeat myself. So, I feel like now, we've course corrected and it's been, good. So that, I don't know, I'd say that's like 2010 to 2012. Maybe there was a bit of that. And ever since end of 2012, there's been a shift of bringing it back to the roots, so to speak. And trusting more in our own instincts, trusting more in our own voice, maybe listening to some of those coaches, but saying, I'm going to take 20% of what you just said and the other 80 just doesn't fit me. And finding that own path that's still going to stick to your values, your mission, but at the same time, get you the success you're looking for. And if that means that we don't have a $50 million business one of these days, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
we don't
decided.
need 50 million. We don't need that.
We want to impact as many people as possible. That's our mission. Or we would be, I don't know, teaching weight loss or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? We'd be teaching something else. We absolutely love this. And once we realized, hey, some of these guys, they're just about the money and they make a lot of it. So they do really well with that. But we actually like it and want to do it. Like it's what we wake up to do. And we want to keep doing it. We don't want to burn it out in 2 years or whatever. Like we just saw a lot of, issues that, again, we thought, oh, I guess this is what you do to go to the A League or whatever you want to call it. And so we tried that and went, nope, we're fine with what we do. And let's just do more of what we do. And that's, I don't know, I guess that was about 2 years ago. And we did a whole episode talking about, okay, we got caught in this trap. We're back. We love this. So we're going to do it the way we want to do it and let the chips fall where they may.
What's funny is I remember distinctly during this shifting period of time, this awakening, let's call it. I remember one specifically conversation where we talked a lot about you, Pat. And in a way we were going, look, Pat just kept doing what he learned from us. And look how well it's doing. Like, why did we change what we were doing? Like it was, and so that was like this beacon or reminder of like, duh, let's just go back to doing what we were doing. Because look, it's working for him and other people that are learning from him. Like, why did we think that we needed to change the formula? And so there you go, Pat. Thanks for helping with our awakening indirectly there.
My pleasure. I mean, I'm just, because obviously I've been following you guys forever, and I did notice that change. And it was when I noticed that change that I had to stop promoting you. And when people would ask, hey, what do you guys think of Internet Business Mastery? I was like, they used to be awesome. Like it was perfect. And then they started drip feeding content, forcing you to pay extra to get the extra content. And then their emails are so aggressive now. I can't promote it like I used to. And then obviously people were like, well, thank you for telling me the honest truth. And then now when they email me, I'm like, Academy 3.0 is awesome. It is everything it's supposed to be. And I had wished to just stay that way the whole time. But I think it took you guys sort of straying off a little bit to understand, well, really, what is the most fulfilling and getting back to your roots and the why. So, thank you for being honest and talking about that here on the show. And I think that's a really important lesson for all of us. And it's really, good to hear that coming from you guys, because obviously I look up to you guys and I'm learning, and I'm always learning from your example. And so it's cool that you guys are back, and I'm happy to promote the Academy, and knowing that you guys will take good care of the SPI audience. And so, thank you for being honest with that.
You know what? Let me put the cap on the redemption story here, the third act, if you will. So we stopped working with these coaches. We stopped hiring copywriters to write our emails. That meant writing them ourselves. I really get a lot of anxiety when it comes to, I love teaching. And like Jeremy said, I'm very, very good at it. I feel like I'm one of the best at it. But when it comes to writing stuff where I feel like, okay, now I'm asking people to buy, it's an uncomfortable and tough thing. But we decided, look, we just got to come back to being true to our voice again. And like we said, it was probably end of 2012 that we did that. And we've seen like the effects of that changing over time. And how well the launches have done, where we just wrote the copy ourselves. We just did the video ourselves. We didn't need anybody externally. We stopped promoting other people's stuff. Like I can't think of an external launch that we've promoted. And not to say that they think there's a lot of good stuff out there, and if the right thing came along, we would. But whereas we used to promote a lot more of other people's stuff, we stopped that. We're like, look, like let's stay true to what we teach, and just we'll fulfill the needs of our audience ourselves. But the kicker here is that, so one of the things that we did back in 2010, it would have been, is we went for one of those huge launches, bringing lots of affiliates on board. And it was like, well, this is the way we're going to like double, triple, quadruple our list. This is the way we're going to double, triple, quadruple our income. And while there was a big hit of list build and there was a big hit of money, then you have everybody knocking at your door going, okay, now you got a mail for me, right? And now, and just getting caught up in that whirlwind, which is just not our style whatsoever. And most recently, in fact, right now, as we record this, we are having the biggest launch that we've ever had outside of that one that we did with affiliates. However, we were just chatting this morning that in the end, we are going to net more money to ourselves than that huge external launch where we were trying to play the other game. And so the point I'm trying to say is without playing that other game, in the end, like just being true to our own voice, we have more coaching students signing up and more success and reach and impact having from this one launch than we've had from any previous launch. And so all that doubt we had about writing our own copy and our own emails and thinking we had to have our voice, being ourselves, having our voice be like these other people, it was a bunch of bunk, because the proof is in our account right now, and the number of signups that we have to this current coaching round that's going on, and it's so gratifying to feel. The word that came to my mind is vindicated. That's not the right word.
We're back.
Validated. That's the word I'm looking. Just feel validated in that we awoke, we shifted, we started fixing things, and we were completely capable with our approach that we already had of doing what it was that we wanted to do. We just got a little distracted, listening to other voices. And entrepreneurs, I know that we do. Everyone listening to this who's an entrepreneur knows what I'm talking about. And I say the comparison trap. We start looking at other people and going, well, what if? Maybe I do. I don't know, and you doubt.
Maybe they have the secret
Maybe
sauce.
they have the secret. Maybe I do need to do it that way. And some people do have wonderful tips and tricks and things to teach you. We've talked about the importance of mentors and having that guidance, but don't squash your own voice and all of that's going on. Don't squash your own voice, because it's the most important voice of all that will keep you, on the path that's going to fulfill you, and that's going to help you build a business you're proud of for years and years and years to come.
Love it. Thank you guys for that cap on that, and I think that's a perfect place to end the show, actually. And Jeremy, Jason, just thank you guys again for coming on the 100th episode of Smart Passive Income. I've wanted you guys to come on earlier, and for whatever reason, it's just gotten delayed. And, but I think it's perfect that you guys are now here on the 100th episode. And it's a perfect episode, I think, for people to listen to. And it's a great one for me, for all the reminders as I move forward into the next 100 episodes and whatever happens next in my business as I try to grow, and, making sure I'm always true to myself. And, I'm very, very lucky and blessed to have, my audience who's always there to keep me in check, my family also as well, and those in my mastermind group and people like you guys. Really, I couldn't do this without you guys. Nobody can ever do this entrepreneur thing alone. And, just thank you guys for everything.
Yeah, congrats, Pat. I mean, this is amazing what's happened. And, the amount of people you're serving and helping is just awe-inspiring. I love it. I'm glad you're at 100, and here's to another 100, right?
Here's to another 100. Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys. I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks.
Peace. All right. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jeremy and Jason. And to be honest, I don't even think you can call that an interview. It was more of a kickback, reminisce session, just talk about all the cool things that have happened over the past few years and all of the struggles and some of the ups and downs along the way. Just a great conversation. I love those guys to death. They've done so much for me, and they actually emailed me afterwards and they said, "Hey Pat, we didn't want to come on your show to pitch the academy. That's why we didn't mention any links or affiliate links or anything. But if people are interested, you might want to share your affiliate link at the end of the show." And I think that's a great idea, because I always associate myself with people and companies and services and tools that I know are going to take care of people. And Jeremy and Jason, their most recent launch of Academy 3.0 will definitely do that if you're interested in getting started and you resonate with what they're saying. Obviously, they've helped me, and there are other great courses out there too. But if you want to explore this one, my affiliate link is smartpassiveincome.com/IBM, just like the computer, but Internet Business Mastery. So IBM. Just thank you guys so much for listening in. Thank you for all the comments and reviews over the past 100 episodes, for all the emails, all the messages, all the handshaking and hugs at conferences. I mean, it just means the world to me. And I think the best part about all this is when I meet people in person. And I hope to meet all of you in person someday, whether at a conference or, on the street or whatever. The best part is when people come up to me and they say, "Pat, you've changed my life in one way or another. And I feel like I know you." That used to freak me out at first when people would come up to me and they'd be like, "Pat, how's your son doing? How is this part of your business or that doing?" or whatever I was interested in. "Oh, how was your fantasy football game last week?" And it would trip me out at first. I would be a little scared of that. But then I realized once I started thinking of it, that was just a sign that I was really making a deep connection with all of you out there listening to this right now. I'm actually forming a relationship with you. You're getting to know who I am and the real me, and you're understanding things about me like you would a friend. And I want you to keep that in mind when you're trying to build your audience too. I mean, there's nothing better than somebody coming up to me now and saying, I feel like I know you, because that means I'm doing my job providing content in a way that has an effect on somebody's life. So just keep that in mind. Again, thank you so much for all the love. Head on over to iTunes and leave a review if you haven't already. Thank you for celebrating episode 100 with me. Thank you to Jeremy and Jason from Internet Business Mastery. And of course, as always, I'm going to mention my sponsor here, audiobooks.com. If you head on over to audiobooks.com/SPI, you could actually get the sort of origin story of how I got started into deep detail, actually, like the feelings I was getting coming up to that meeting with Jeremy at the Panera Bread in Mira Mesa, San Diego, California. Like all of that stuff, videos, actually, video interviews of all that stuff. You can listen to all that stuff in an audiobook from audiobooks.com. My book, Let Go, is exclusively in audio format on audiobooks.com. If you go to audiobooks.com/SPI, you'll also get one free credit in addition to that to download any book you want and listen to that. And also, 30 days to check it out. So again, that's audiobooks.com/SPI. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate every single one of you. Head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session100. If you want to leave some congratulatory remarks there, that'd be awesome. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions for the next 100 episodes, if you have somebody potentially that you think would be great on the show as an interview, head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session100. I'd love to explore those options in the next 100 for you from this point forward. So thank you so much. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.